Okay, we are recording. So we will start with the demos, and then we will do like accessibility presentation. And after that, we will go through the issues for the next week, as always. So, but before we start with the demos, how was this week for you? The issues got a little bit tougher.
Yeah, definitely a little bit tougher than last week.
Yeah, the first week was just a warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you did great. You already like done with okay. So Harris will lead the demos. The floor is yours.
So let's start. Who wanna go first? Which team wanna go first?
We can go, I guess.
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it. All right. You see my screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this week, we have been diving in to the user experience and functionality of the new feature of the shopping list, which is based on issue number 5, that the user wants to add a new item to the shopping list so they can start recording their purchases. We have integrated a new managed list view that presents the user with a form that allows the user to effectively add items to their shopping list. It has 2 inputs. One is the item name and then the purchase timeline. In the item name, the user can add the item name, and then the input field is paired with a semantic label to enhance the accessibility and usability. And then the timeline, where the user can select how soon they think they would want to purchase that item again, with the soon 7 days, or kind of soon 14 days, or not so soon if they might want it in 30 days. These are designed to help the user plan their like shopping trips more effectively. And then there's the form that is designed to be inclusive and accessible, which supports both submissions via the mouse click and the enter key. And upon the submission, the user immediately receives the feedback through an alert, notifying them whether the item is added successfully to the database, or if there was an issue, ensuring like clarity and immediate response to their actions. And if I go to, is it this one? Hopefully, number 2. Yeah, here is it in the deploy thingy. You can add an item. You can see there's already loads of fake items added there. I will add this one. Kirel said this one, so key lime pie. I want it kind of soon because I'm craving this key lime pie. I'll say next 7 days, and then I will add the item. I'll press the enter, and then here's the alert showing the user that is successfully added. And if you go to the list, then you can see here the key lime pie is added. Yeah,
So
that was it for me.
So I guess we are missing one feature where you add an item to the list, you redirect the user to the shopping list.
Was that in our?
Uh,
I don't
That it was not in our. It's not in our. Let me go.
I guess it
Right?
was for the other issue.
I
When
think it's
the
not.
other
was it? Okay,
yeah.
it was the Jonathan team. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I'll show the
All
code
right.
now.
Yep.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. perfect. So this is the component that we worked on for this feature. It was completely empty when we started. So the first thing that we did was create this use state. We created the use state to manage the form data and included both the item name and the days until next purchase variables. Then we created this form. As Marcia said, we use labels to improve accessibility of the website. And yeah, use a text input for the name and a few options on this select drop down for when to buy the item next. And then we created both a handle change function and a handle submit function. So what the handle change function does is that it listens to the event whenever the user changes the answers to the form and sets that information to the use state. And whenever they click the handle, the add item button, the handle submit function triggers. And what it does is use the add item function from Firestore in order to store that item on the database. So after we had all of this, we actually had to come to the Firebase.js file and amend the method, which was not working. This method was already written for us. The only thing that was missing was the method to add the document to the already created collection. So we imported it from Firestore and added it here. We had a bit more trouble with this because we were reading the documentation and we had a bit of a confusion with the set doc and add doc. So we amended this. We had originally used set doc, which is to update an already existing document in a collection. We needed to use add doc. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Great work, guys.
Well, great. Sorry, I have just one, not question, but could any one of you show us like the database in Firestore, like, because just to know what we are doing with the select when we select like soon and when we select soon or kind of soon, if you can like show us in Firestore like that we take in
The value.
consideration that
Oh, you mean the number?
yeah, the number.
Yeah,
like,
okay. So yeah, we kind of forgot about that part. So we are, as you see, am I unmuted? Yes, okay, good. So the drop down has the text when you select it, but the value that we gave it is actually being converted into a number. And this is because for the date next purchase, there is a get future date function. And what it's doing is taking this number and calculating for the user when they will need to buy this item next. But yeah, this function is already created and we just converted it into a number.
okay, great. If you have the Firestore, I can send you the link just to show us like the latest the latest one created, like if
I think it's here.
we can see only your VS Code.
Yeah, we created a bunch of lists for testing. So now I'm not sure which one is the one.
Oh, okay. We can skip it. I get it now. So
wait
you
a
won't
sec.
know it.
All right.
Yeah, I'm also looking. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah,
actually.
there's some of the. We had some errors here.
We did create an infinite loop at one point.
Yeah, as you can tell, there was an infinite loop happening here.
It happens all the time. So
Yeah.
well, what you can do is maybe go to the app, select a list, and then create new item. But it doesn't matter because there is the code. well, we can skip this. We know what happens with the date next purchased, so we can skip it for now. Thank you, thank
Okay.
you, thank you.
Yeah, all right.
Figure out.
Jonathan and Adam.
Jonathan, go first.
Yeah, I'll share my screen now. Right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, you can see your screen.
Right. So for our issue this week, so I can start tracking purchased items. So in summary, users need to be able to create new shopping lists. So to do this, the home view should present them with a form that allows them to enter their name of their shopping list. And additionally, we need to do a few things to create that list. So we needed to save the token to local storage, save the list to our database using the create list function in Firebase, and show the user the list view. So in terms of the criteria, the UI related tasks, we had the home view displays a form, which allows them to enter the name of the shopping list, whichever they require, and then create a list with that name. The input, which the user inputs something into, the name of the item needs a semantic label element associated with it. The user can submit the form with either the mouse or the enter key, and then when the user submits the form, they see a message indicating if the list has been created successfully, or if there wasn't, there was some sort of issue and it wasn't saved to the database. And as you can see there, the data related tasks, clicking the button uses the create list function in the API firebase.js to create a new shopping list for the user. The shopping list path is stored in local storage using the set list function. And once the list has been created and saved, the user is redirected to the list view. So these are just some which we previously entered. So if you were going to enter the name of the shopping list there, so we'll just type, for example, just today, just put Sunday, and then we can either enter or click on create shopping list, and then that then automatically navigates us to the list page. And as you can see, it's just disappeared, but that popped up then with a message telling us that our shopping list was added successfully. If that wasn't the case and there was some sort of issue, I'll just put a slash there, and then this is what would get caught with the try and catch statement. So if we put that in and then click create shopping list, we get that message there, that hot toast notification telling us list creation failed, please try again. And then just in terms of the Firebase, we can see there all of our shopping lists there, which are displayed on our app, so we know that's getting added to the Firebase successfully. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, I will share my screen. Okay, so you've seen the demonstration of our task with Jonathan, and I will show the code behind it. First, in the app component, the only thing we added is the user object here, so we can use the data related to the user in our create list component. Then we can move to home. Here, as you said, you see here, we paste the user object here. Also, we added optional chain in here in case there is any errors showing that the data is null or undefined. And then we will see the create shopping list component, where we paste the user object and the set list path to be used there. In the create shopping list here, we created a form with, as you see, a label for accessibility explaining what that input does. Also, we created the input text that will take the list name that the user enters, and it will save it in the state to be used in the submit function later. And we had the submit button, which creates the list. With the submission of this form, this function will run, and here it will get the list path from this function. Here we faced a problem and we solved it with our mentor Rida. And the problem was the create function did not have a return statement. So it did not return the list path of the list we create. And it keeps showing us the error until we added the return statement. So here, the return statement of create list would be the list path. If this thing is successful and the list is created, it will set the list path, and it will show us, as you saw before, the success message, and it will navigate the user to list page. And if it's an error, it will show you the error message, as you saw before. Also here we integrated the React toast because when we were working on it and we had the success message and the user is redirected to list page, it did not show. It only showed the error message because it will not navigate to list page. So we added the React toast to show that it did actually create the list. And we added the toast that actually shows the message at the top of the page in the layout. So it will show the toast even if the user is in another route. Since the create shopping list is in the home route, so when the user is navigated to the list, it will still show the toast at the top of the page. That's it for our code.
Thank you. Great one, guys, especially on the toast, showing the error message and success message. Thank you. Sada, over to you.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done. Also, the demos are much better than last week. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
well, that's really great. And okay, before we move on to the accessibility presentation, does anyone have any question about each other code, about each other functionalities, or anything? Okay, if there are no questions, let's move on to the accessibility presentation. Let me just share my screen. I need first to find the tab. It is all right. So you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we will have today this accessibility presentation. I believe Tommy did the communication for these during office hours. And for the people who didn't attend, hopefully you did go through that by yourself, because all learning modules have really some nice information, and it's pretty much good to just get a look at them. And also, just this is pretty much just a reminder that there are also some self-study learning modules that you have in the project brief. So please go through them when you can and when you have time. And of course, if you have any questions about them, feel free to reach out to us. So let's start. So we will start with we will talk about what is accessibility and why we should consider it, and of course how to achieve it. So this is, before we go on, this is like, you may see this often. Instead of accessibility, you will say I11. Why? And 11 just stands of the like the number of letters between I and Y, which is 11. I didn't know this until I joined Collab Lab. I always seen this I11, but I never knew what the 11 was for. So let's keep going. And so what is accessibility? This is like Wikipedia definition, but simply it's to make the web like accessible equally for everyone, either whether they have a disability or they just have a limited like internet or bandwidth. We have this all the time in Africa, sadly. And yeah, so we have also the W3C that maintains like a working group dedicated to web accessibility and like publish related standards. You can always check those standards for better understanding what is what. And also in the US, there is some regulation, especially for the government agencies to make the websites they build accessible. Sure about the other parts of the world, but yeah. So as we said, and also like there are some people with disability access websites using the assistive technologies. And so these assistive technologies could be like screen readers, screen magnifiers, speech to text, and a lot of other tools. So we must, like not must, but we should consider like that our apps and our websites can be read with these tools. And that's what accessibility is. Some of the popular screen readers, there is NVIDIA and JAWS for Windows, and there is VoiceOver for Mac and TalkBack for Android. Some people like it's. We will get to that. We will get to that, but I will try to share it later with you. But I saw a blog post of people like using VoiceOver to test accessibility, and it's pretty much a good one. I will try to find it and share it with you later. And so why we should consider accessibility? Well, simply because it's the right thing to do, because it's well, it's just morally right to not exclude anyone from entering or accessing the information in the web. As they say here, the information the internet provide could be for work, play, or community, and even essential life tasks. So everyone deserves to be able to use the websites we build. As we said before, you may be legally obligated to make your website accessible, and this is often for like government agencies. There is this fun fact that more people in the US access websites with assistive technology than the people live in Canada. So if you exclude people, like if your website like is not accessible, you are kind of excluding Canada to enter and to use your products. Just an example. And making your pages more accessible for people with disability makes them more accessible for everyone. So if it's accessible for blind people that, I don't know, have some kind of, they lost their arms or anything like that, it will be, even if they can access that kind of, if they can access your website and the information on your website, normal people will even have it easier. So let's skip when. So there's this like kind of disabilities that people may have. So there are like permanent, temporary, and situational. Let's take, for example, the touch. So permanent one will be like people like who has lost like their arm at one point of their life, so they can't use it. Maybe it could be just temporary. So maybe you have an accident or something and you have an arm injury, or it can be also situational. For example, a pregnant woman, she can't use like both of her hands or so the point of this is it's at one point or another in your life you will be like you will have some kind of this like this kind of disabilities. So it makes sense like to make the web accessible for everyone. So it's not like if it's not like only people like who have permanent disabilities that will rely on the accessibility features in your website, but it might be even you at one day. For example, if you are like driving, you shouldn't use actually your phone or while you are driving, but anyway, something like that. Or if you are a new parent, yeah. So we move on from this slide and we go to the how we can like make our websites accessible. You have been doing this like these simple things like during your issues, like using a label, using a form element, stuff like this. So the first thing, but by the way, this is like just not in depth, like how to make a website accessible, but just a basic daily things that you could do at your work or at your hobby projects to make it more accessible. So the first thing, of course, is to use valid and semantic HTML. If you have a button, use the button element, not a div element. If you have a form, use a form element, not a div element. So simply just don't use div elements everywhere and use semantic HTML. There are a lot of interesting and unknown elements, HTML element tags, and like the detail element. There is it's pretty powerful. I saw the last time I saw can't remember, but I saw kind of like how the detail element can read the text inside if you use it for what it's called, like the I can't remember what it's called, sadly. So when you have this kind of like not a drop down, but kind of like the things you have in FAQ, like in the frequent questions, when things like open, if you have the details element instead of just a div element, it will actually like automatically open for screen readings, open these things. So this is just an example. And always include alt attributes on your image tags. Even if it's sometimes there is a need to use an empty alt, but anyway, it should be there, even if it's empty. And if it's not empty, it should be descriptive of what the image reflects. Also use area attributes if necessary, but also we have this here. So the best area is no area at all. So whenever it's possible, please use the semantic HTML. But if you are in some kind of situation that you can't use semantic HTML, or your use case doesn't have like a corresponding HTML tag, then you can use the area attributes to fill the gap. Also ensure all content is reachable via keyboard so that you can navigate the website via your keyboard. Ensure all interactive elements have a reasonable target sizes. So for your buttons and for anything that is like interactive, it's much better to have like a big area where the user can click instead like a very small one that people like will struggle to click on. Ensure the content and tab order make sense. So when you tab through like with your keyboard, just to make sure that the order does make sense. And this is achievable, of course, by like the structure of your HTML. You can always play around with everything in your website with the CSS, but the HTML order should always make sense. And also use sufficient color contrast. So the text color and the background color should like be visible enough, not only for like, because there are some people that have like blind color, you should take them into consideration too. And don't use only color to signify the states. So this is actually, you will have one of your issues where you have like to indicate if the item is purchased or not. And you will have there that you shouldn't use only the color, for example, green or red. For example, green for purchased and red for not purchased. You don't use only color to indicate the states, because like people that can see the colors, they won't know what state the item is in. So you may want to use like a text or icon or something like that. So this is a general idea of general like points of how you can make your website accessible. And yeah, so you may be wondering what is AREA. So the AREA stands for Accessible Rich Internet Application. It's a technical specification by the W3C, which are the same people who write the HTML spec, like the specification for HTML. And you can add AREA to your HTML to have a better control over the accessibility of your websites and web application. As we said before, so misusing AREA can introduce problem for AT users, like screen readers. So whenever possible, use the HTML, semantic HTML, and if you can, then use the AREA label. So we will go we'll have examples here. So here is an example of how to use AREA. So we have this UI element like the switch or the toggle. You have seen it many times in your phones or on your website. And HTML has no concept of switch. There is no switch HTML tag. So you can use AREA for that. So for example, you can use a button, and the button will have this attribute role like for switch. So you are telling the people who are using screen readers that this is a switch. And also you can use like the area checked to indicate if the switch or the toggle is on or off. And so the attributes rule and area checks work together to tell AT users that there is a switch called. Yeah. And of course, you will still need CSS and JavaScript to make this work. So for example, a state that toggle if this area check is true, it's false. And yeah, so this is a good use of the area attributes. And we will have another example of how to not use the area attributes. So we have this, for example, the following two HTML elements are equivalent from the perspective of an AT user. So this is like the button that say hello world. It's the same as if you do a div and you have a role as a button. So they will act the same, for screen readers, they will both know that this is a button. but there is actually no reason to do this. You have a button, so why would you use a div and then assign to it like the role? And also, like when we use HTML to make a button, the browser bundles other things. It provides CSS to make it look like a button, and also it allows your user to click the button with space and enter keys, which will not be the case if you use a div. And actually, if you use this div and the role equal button, you will be missing a lot of accessibility features that the native button HTML tag will provide for you. Yeah, so it's as simple as that. If you have a semantic like element for your use case, use it. If not, then you can use the area, and you can use the area attributes to do that. So this was an example of how to not use area. Also, sometimes you have, for example, you have a select. So we have the native select. Marcia and Geralt used it, but this kind of some HTML elements like the select could be hard to style, and some people will then go with a div element and just like make it look like a select. That case also at least use you have to use the area attributes to make sure that this is to give the information for the screen readers that this is a select element. But it's super hard to actually like build a select element that is fully accessible. So it's always a better option to use the native HTML one. But also there are libraries that already did that, like I guess it's called Headless UI, for example. So Headless UIs will give you all these like elements, and they are unstyled and you can like style them, but they are also like fully accessible like the native ones. So yeah, let's move on. And this is how do we identify like accessibility issues. So there are many tools to check for like accessibility issues in your website. We have some automated tools such as like Axe. It's good start, but only finds like 30% of issues. But if you remove 30% of issues, that's also good. So, and we have like guided audits such as like those built into like accessibility insights. And you can, as I said before, you can use like the assistive technologies like VoiceOver or whatever, like screen readers or anything to test your website. But again, it's not sufficient because the way you may be using the screen reader, it's not how everyone will be using it. And also, most of us like developers aren't like using those tools every day. They're not familiar with them, so you will probably like won't cover all cases, and everyone use them like different, but it's still like a good way to test like your website. And of course, you can hire some companies to do the audits for accessibility. And finally, is the feedback from real users. I guess there isn't better than this. So if some users with disabilities have some feedback, please take it into consideration. And I guess we are at the end of our presentation. And if we have some time left at the end, we will do a demo with one of these tools, just to see like how these tools like. And this is some resources. Of course, you have the slides in in the project brief, and you can always have access to them. Okay, so I know I was pretty much fast doing this, but do you have any questions or anything in mind about accessibilities?
Just more of a confirmation. Some of these automation tools, I mean, I've only ever used Lighthouse. I always use Lighthouse. Is that it?
Yeah, no, it's not enough. If Lighthouse give you 100% accessibility, it's not really 100%. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's also good. Like it's also like a good it's a good starting point, you know. But I'm not an expert myself in accessibility, but I just try to keep it in mind and do my best while building like any website. I just try to do my best and to like just whatever I know about accessibility, I try to put it in the website I'm building. So yeah, there is like accessibility could be like it's not could be, it is like a whole like specialization for some people. They are just specialized in doing audits. They do it like manually sometimes, you know, stuff like that.
We can also configure our ESLint configuration to like point out our accessibility issues in while we code. So it's also a good to use for accessibility.
I'm sorry, Harris, I couldn't hear you.
I said we can use ESLint for pointing out the accessibility issues in our
Yeah, for sure.
So we
Yeah.
are
With
using it.
ESLint.
Yeah, ESLint.
How?
It's kind of like when you do something, for example, if you forgot the alt attribute for an image,
Yeah.
it will scream at you like you forgot the alt image, please use alt image, you know, something like that.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to edit my ESLint configurations. That's really that's really useful.
Yeah, but yeah. But I guess that's the only example I know about. Maybe also the href, if you put, for example, the anchor tag and you forgot the href, it will tell you, please use href. You can't just have anchor tag without that, something like that. Yeah, if anyone else knows any, tell me, or Harris, if you know any other examples of what ESLint could detect.
I don't remember actually, but we are using it in our projects. We use the Airbnb configuration. Like they have like a setup tools and everything in their configuration. We use that, and it comes with accessibility. I guess it's a plugin you need to install.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot of companies actually go and grab the Airbnb configurations for ESLint and just copy them. I went to do it, but it was so much.
Yeah,
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
you
wait,
will.
it is.
I only use a semicolon. What is all of this?
You will end up like having a lot of errors.
I get enough
Yeah.
with TypeScript. I don't need any more.
Yeah, TypeScript is another story. Painful one. All right. Does anyone have any more questions about accessibility? I have one actually to you. Like, while learning, did you like have much encounter with accessibility mention, or like during boot camps?
Yeah, I did like a section on my course where it was largely similar to what you just said there in that presentation. So that was a bit of a refresher for me. So it was a while ago since I read that.
So actually, like, it's really for me just using like like the list that one could do is to use like semantic HTML. That's the list you could do, and it's really HTML is really powerful.
Yeah, my bootcamp also had a day dedicated to accessibility. So they basically gave us a garbage website and told us, okay, you need to get 100% on Lighthouse at least. And then they also gave us, and I was looking for it now, but I lost it. There's a website that will check the color palette that you have chosen for your components and tell you if the contrast is enough or not, and then you can adjust them. But I lost it. If you have something similar and you can share it, that would be great.
Yeah, you can actually just Google it. There are like a lot of tools out there that do the same. So you just give them like the palettes and they will tell you if the contrast is enough or not. Hey, Uda, Marcia, do you have anything to share with us? Any questions?
Not really, but that was informative.
No.
That was good.
Yeah. All right. So we have only 10 minutes to go through the issues. I thought I was fast, but I guess I wasn't fast enough. So, Tommy, please, if you could like go through the issues.
Can you see my screen?
No, not yet.
What about now?
Yeah, you can see it.
So, yeah, so this week 3. Welcome guys to week 3. I'll be going through the assigned GitHub issues for this week. So for Uda and Marsha, here is your issue. As a user, I want to be able to invite others to an existing shopping list. So the summary is, we want to allow users to invite others to existing shopping lists so they can manage them with friends or family. This would take the following steps. User should be able to enter an existing user's email into a form. The share list function in the source app Firebase.js is called with the appropriate inputs. And here are the acceptance criteria. The manage list view shows a form that allows the users to enter an email to invite an existing user to a list, in addition to the form that allows them to add items to that list. The input that accepts the email has a semantic label element associated with it. The user can submit this form with both the mouse and the enter key. If the other user exists, the user is alerted that the list was shared. If the other user does not exist, the user is shown an error message that explains explains the problem. So note, you will know your label is correctly implemented if you click on the label and keyboard focus to the related inputs. So for reference, you guys can check the MDN docs on label for more info. Users will be able to submit the form with the enter key if you listen for the right JavaScript events on the right element. If you're adding on key down listener anywhere, you might be overcomplicating things. Check the share list function in Firebase.js to get an idea of how you will know if a list was shared. So this issue is for Uda and Masha. I'll go back to yeah, for Querat and Jonathan. As a user, I want to filter my shopping list to make it easier to locate an item in the list. The summary is allowing users to search through the list. We help them cut down on clutter and focus on items they are looking for, just for a better user experience. So the acceptor criteria is a form is added to the top of the list view above the shopping list. The form includes the following elements: a text field with semantic label, which narrows down the list as the user types. When there is text in the field, some kind of button, e.g. an X to clear the field. When the field is cleared, the list is reset to its unfiltered state. So here are some notes. You will know your label is correctly implemented if you click on the label and keyboard focus moves to the related inputs. You can refer to MDN docs for more info. The filter text should match any part of the item name. It should not only match from the start of the string. So that's all on for the issues in this week.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Tommy. Okay.
Assign them the issues, Tommy.
Yeah, please.
Sorry?
Assign the issues to the respective. Yeah.
Done. Uda, please, is this your GitHub profile name?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think this is for
Marcia.
yeah,
Marcia.
Uda and Masha. Masha.
I'm the Marcia, yeah.
The first one or second one?
Second one.
All right. So Jonathan, please, is this? Can you confirm?
The bottom one. Yeah.
The last one?
Yes, please, yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, that one, please, yeah.
Yeah. So we have it all assigned to you guys.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, everyone. Couple of things before the meeting. So you can clear the database, like the list that you no longer need. You can like just to like clear them a little bit. So for future demos, you can find it easier to show the changes in the database. That's one thing. This week, Harriet will have office hours. And once you are done with your your issues and other pairs reviewed your issues, Tommy will do the review. And yeah, that's it. That's it for for the next week. And yeah, I didn't forget anything, I guess. So thank you everyone for your time. Thank you for joining us, and I will see you again next week. Bye bye.
Bye
Right.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.